you're with iSales, I'm with Naked Media. I run a media company that does lead generation. In theory, right? All my clients are your clients. But for me, I wouldn't psychologically think, let me refer them to a CRM company or a dialer company. But literally, it's like, maybe I might be a rejection file for you initially, but the reality of it is there's a way then for you to work with me or vice versa.
What's up, guys? Welcome to the Close More podcast. This week we have Steve, the director of marketing for Naked Media. I would love to give you a chance to introduce yourself. Steve, take it away.
Hey guys, how are you? This is Steve Pirro here, the director of marketing with Naked Media. I'm excited to have this opportunity. I've been working with iSales here for quite a bit of time, and I use it for a few of the companies that we have here and manage. So I'm excited to be a part, man. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, definitely. And I know that when we met in Miami, it was, you had such a unique mindset. I really wanted to get you on this podcast. What do you see sales going towards over the next 5 years, especially with this crazy year that we had in 2020?
The biggest thing that I see shift, which I think everybody kind of sees, is a lot of remote working from home, being able to make sure that, you've got a team that has all the resources and tools that they need to utilize, whether it's from lead generation, whether it's reporting, whether it's sales. It's kind of integrating everything in an all-in-one solution where traditionally, even myself, I mean, I'm guilty as charged. Let's be real. I've got multiple sources that I'm running reportings on, which is a lot easier when employees are in the office. You have an admin get this, or a salesperson grab you that, or maybe there's something you missed, and you're able to kind of self-correct much easier. But when you've got a lot of your team that are either remote, or you've got some of your team in office, some out of office, it does make it difficult when you've got different areas that you have to pull different, whether it's data feeds, lead reporting from, whatever it may be for that matter. So a lot of times having that all integrated into one system can definitely be much more beneficial than, let's say, having everything elsewhere. So I think that most of the way I foresee these sales going, or sales in general, is predominantly online. And by online, I mean kind of like what you guys are doing, for example, right? A lot of times for some big servers, right, you got to have a server in your office, or if you have a big CRM system, you need quite a bit to power it. Where nowadays, most stuff's affordable. You can go on, you can pretty much connect, let's say iSales, you've got many multiple CRMs, but the problem is connecting them, right? So you got a CRM, and then you need a dialer, and then you need an SMS system, and then you need an email system, and then you need a call tracking system. And there's a lot of different systems that you need. And it makes it difficult, and the reason I say this too is, we're big in the call center world. We deal with a lot of call centers from a marketing perspective. I'm currently involved with many call centers and own a few of them myself. And I'll say that this year, obviously strictly related to COVID-19 and Corona, it has been difficult to find people to hire. Obviously some people are in different positions now than what they were, but a lot of people that inquire now, especially on the health insurance end, people don't want to come in the office. It's almost like where last year from a hiring standpoint, we never had this issue. It was, I'm looking for a job. We pretty much make the rules. We set the tone. This is what needs to get done. And unfortunately now, because you've got 50% of the employers that are set up correctly and able to do this, and then you've got the other 50% that are not. And before it was set up correctly, it does make it difficult. I mean, a lot of these people now who are good employees, they are able to work from home. They need to work from home. And being able to have everything set up seamless is a much easier integration for anybody, realistically, with sales. So,
Of course. So would you say that you have a software that you couldn't live without?
yeah, I mean, it's definitely iSales. I'll say that. I've used many CRMs in the past. I've used it for moving now. I've used it for health insurance. The only thing I'd like to add, if I could add a little thing, so then I could use it for the media company for our lead gen, is a project management tool. But, we could call that a phase 2 per se. But obviously that's out of realm. But for media companies like myself, if we had a little project flow or a flow chart on clients, that'd be great. But yeah, honestly, from a sales perspective and using it from home, man, it's straightforward. I'd say the number one thing I like about you guys, we have other dialers that we'll use when we need to do, let's say, large amounts of data. We've got 100,000 records we need to go through. Obviously, manually doing it isn't the way. But I will say we do not have any spam likelies with the way yours is set up. So it's almost, for example, on my automatic dialer that we have, even if we have good data, yeah, the first, 200-300 dials, everything goes great on each system, but you've got 10 guys, it's 3,000 calls in an hour. Now, all of a sudden, you don't realize it till 3-4 hours later, but their contact rate drops. Everything goes straight to voicemail. And now you've got another hour and a half headache to go replace the numbers. Where with
Yeah.
this, that doesn't seem to be the case. We haven't really had any issues. And in terms of getting text out, it's really beneficial because even a lot of the systems we used to use, Prospect Boss, which they're called now, and then they were originally sales dialers. Once that system goes down, the text messages go down. So pretty
Yep.
much, if you've got just a few fronters realistically, and you're doing a 3-line dialer, it's very quickly spam likely. That's very frustrating. And even from the agent's end, you know what I mean? If I'm
Yeah.
giving them good data, especially we self-generate our leads, and these leads are coming in that I'm paying for because I want better deals, better leads if I know how to do them, right? But I also need to make sure my agents can get them on the phone because there's that frustration level. And then you're like, hey, why aren't you pitching people? Well, I don't know. I mean, no one's answering. They're going straight to voicemail. So that's like a common problem, especially with all these carriers. I know Verizon's big on it right now. AT&T, T-Mobile kind of led the way on it. Like last year or 2 years ago for open enrollment, we used to do a lot of SMS blasts. So we took off T-Mobile because T-Mobile had the SMS protection on it, right? For spam.
Mhm.
Now almost everybody has it. So this was the first open enrollment in probably, I'm going to say 7-8 years. I did no SMS blast. It doesn't work, you know? But
Yeah.
through your system, it's not that I can do a volume blast. I can't go send 100,000 records. But when my agents are engaging with people, it really does make a big difference, even more so than the auto text, because they can tell the difference between an auto text and someone actually engaging. Like I
Mhm.
always tell my guys, misspell a word, it looks real. You know what I mean?
that little nugget right there could be huge.
Yeah, exactly. It's a nice little nugget. So that's pretty much how I feel on that. There is a couple things that I want to elaborate on too. Two
Yeah.
of the topics that I wanted to touch on where I see, especially with people working from home, right? Initially, and maybe every employer is different, but for the most part, in certain areas, especially sales, traditionally that's kind of a floor. Momentum thrives that. So when good salespeople are in a floor with good salespeople, there's like a natural energy that keeps everybody going. Where when you're at
Mhm.
home, a lot of times you start to see that dip a little bit because it's, great, I got a huge deal and it's kind of not that exciting. You know what I mean? It's just on to the next one.
You think salespeople thrive in like a boiler room setting?
Together 110%. Yes.
Awesome.
If people,
Awesome.
the closer people are together, the better they do. It's kind of like comes down to the locker room mentality. If you have a great football game and your boy scores a touchdown and there's no cheer, there's no high fives, there's no dance, it's just like it's a touchdown. There's no camaraderie per se. So but that being said, sadly or unsadly, that's the wave of the future right now. A lot of people are going to be at home. Sales positions are able to be at home, and it's happening, right?
Mhm.
But one thing that I feel that can offset that, which I do want to discuss, it comes down into the reporting and then the rejection files. So the biggest thing that I like to pay attention to, obviously, is reporting, right? We all have different terms. I call it CPA, my cost per acquisition, which is a paying client. It's not leads, it's an actual paid client. So to me, that's always my main focus, what the actual return on revenue is, and then what my actual cost per acquisition is and how much I'm spending on marketing. But really, no matter what you're doing, and I'll use feel like a pretty realistic number here. Even if you're great at what you do, you've got the best sales team in the world. On average, for most lead gen programs across the board, let's say you do close 30%, which is great,
Mhm.
right? I mean, you're
Yeah.
closing 1 out of 3 people you talk to. That's tremendous, right? Let's be real. But that being said, 70% of your data is going to waste, right? And now that you see over what's going on now with everybody working from home, a lot of people have seen a little dip, I would say, in sales performance, just because again, it is kind of hard to crack the whip or build that spirit or whatever you have to do per se.
Yeah.
But when you look at your reports and you can realize, like exactly what I do for iSales, for example, I have all my guys. If something comes in on Obamacare, I want to know, right? We're a short-term agency. We write short-term policies. So if someone has a pre-existing condition and they need to go on Obamacare, a lot of guys just bad lead, no good, bad, no good. A
Mhm.
Medicare lead comes in, right? Medicare is valuable. Not to me. I don't write Medicare, right? But I have people in the industry that do write Medicare and it's equally as fruitful, right? So that being said, when you can look at your reporting and kind of analyze the data and you're like, all right, this week, this rep got XYZ. He got 100 leads. He closed 30 deals. There's 70. If you've got a team of 10 people, that's 700 leads a week per week. 2,800 a month you're leaving on the table that in your eyes it's a bad lead, my CPA is good. Fuck that, reciprocate it. What you do is take that rejection file, right? All right, okay, out of the reporting, like I have my agents, as I was telling you, mark them verbatimly. Is it Medicare? Is it Obamacare? Is it actually a bad lead? Why? Is it Spanish? Okay, great. If it's a Spanish lead, bring on a Spanish rep. If you can't do that, send it to a room. Call someone in Miami or Texas. Find a room that can take your data. And like Medicare, luckily I live, Miami, Fort Lauderdale. There's a lot of call rooms. There's a lot of health insurance. It's big here. But again, I don't do Medicare. But if I see all of a sudden out of my 70 leads per week per agent, 700 a week, that 400 of them are Medicare. Let me go call my friend who does Medicare. I'll send you those leads in real time, add them as an agent to iSales, transfer them to data. You tell your rep, like in the disposition, you would set it up. If its disposition is Medicare, send to this room. Now, each week you sit down, you have an agreement, right? Okay, anything you close, either A, you can sell the leads, right? So that's instant monetization. Or if you're a little bit more stable, let them close the leads and do basically a cost per deal. I call it a CPA deal, where you're going to pay me a fixed rate, let's say $300 per deal you close. We'll divvy it up on Fridays or Mondays per se. You know what I mean? And
I
now
love
that
that.
allows me to put that money back into marketing and continue to keep growing. So there's never a waste, because I feel like a big waste is everyone's excited. They're closing 30, 40. Even if you have a God blessed business closing 50% of your data is going to waste. So I think now with people being at home, and if you can analyze reports and have kind of an all in one solution, you can see that, and very easily, even if you put on an admin person to sit there and transfer the leads, I mean, it's only going to be a few different verticals that work in your favor. Moving, for example, right? We do a lot of long distance moving. That's one of our big verticals on the media end. So we do a lot of lead gen. Well, okay, a move lead comes in, we close them at 30%. That's great. But what else could these people need on A, the leads we close, and B, the leads we didn't close? Well, we know they're moving. So when people move, they need internet and TV, right? You're going to need new auto insurance. And coincidentally, for health insurance, for what's called HCA plans, one of the ailments that allows you to get in out of open enrollment is if you move to another state. And specifically, that's the kind of moving lead gen we do, is for out of state moves, right? So in theory, 100% of those people, whether we close the deal or not, are actually a good candidate for somebody who has an Obamacare or an ACA room, right? Or
Yep.
even a short term, right? If they were on an ACA and they don't want to be there, then they could transfer to a short term per se in the event they want to. So that's the whole, I feel like, big importance with rejection files. And to give you an idea too, back to the moving, I know I mentioned cable and internet. These are things they all need. They're going to need new auto insurance, right? But also too, like alarm systems. It's crazy. Like alarm system companies, which most people may not know, it is based on credit. And this is getting into the affiliate programs, right? Where you can either work with other call centers that like, birds of a feather flock together. I have other friends in call centers. We all sell different products. So a lot of times that's my means. But if that's not the case, like legit ADT is an example, Direct TV, Dish Network. If you go on certain basically brokers for affiliates, they can and will pay you per deal that closes. And for ADT, for example, if the person has half decent credit and they set up an alarm system in their house, they're paying you $800 on it. So a
Wow.
lot of these things, sometimes you can almost end up covering your entire marketing costs, which it's almost like if you tell a business owner they're doing well and you said, imagine if you had no marketing costs, well, I'd be doing it, it would be a complete lifestyle change. You know what I mean? And a lot of times, just through basic cognitive thinking, like how can I analyze my data, which comes down to reporting in an all in one easy solution where you don't need 50 people, it's doable. You know what I mean? And it
Absolutely.
works. It's like it's another stream. It's just like you're funneling your health insurance leads to your guys to close health insurance. You're doing the same thing. If an Obamacare lead comes in and we don't do Obamacare, the system recognizes it, immediately sends it out. The only additional step is the 5 minutes to set up a new vendor, or not even a new vendor, excuse me, a new agent, and then change the disposition on it. So it's a very quick thing to do, and it's already automated. And then you can see what that person closes on their system.
Yep, absolutely. I wanted to touch on one point that you said, that if you had 30% of only a 30% close rate, how could somebody get their close rate higher? What recommendations would you give to somebody to get a higher close rate?
In today's day and age, you need to be aggressive. And I feel like I deal with, for our media company, the vast majority of our clients are all call centers. It's what we deal with. And I've seen call centers that do well, some that struggle, and some that go out of business in a month, right? But the reality of it is, in phone sales, which if you're using iSales, it is phone sales. You need to be
Absolutely.
very aggressive. You know what I mean? you need to dump, like most people I feel like are scared. That's the problem. It's not really a system issue ever. It's just if you tell someone, I want you to call them and then call them again, if they don't answer, they get nervous. But
Mhm.
chances are, psychologically, even if you don't know who I am and I call you twice, you're kind of like, all right, so maybe something's up. Let me answer it. The whole point is to get them on the phone. The other thing too is being aggressive with a text, man. Email's okay. And also too, you got to know your clientele. I can only speak on my clientele. Everything's a little bit different. If you're dealing with, let's say, a real estate agent, they're probably more prone to opening up their emails because for them, emails are money. Where if you're emailing a secretary, for her, an email is like a bill in the mail. It's like, fuck, another thing I got to do. You know what I mean? So know
Yeah.
your client. But what we've noticed overall, text messaging really works. Every time you call and do a double call and they don't answer, still follow up the third time with a text message. Let them know who you are. Be aggressive for that 72-hour period because it's like anything else. You can break it down to like buying a car, right? You know that guy's interested. He's at the lot. You've only got so much time to sell him because if he leaves or walks away for too long, that rush, that excitement of buying, it leaves, right? Then you get like
Yep.
buyer's remorse or you're thinking about it. Same thing with your leads. No matter really what you're selling, unless, I don't know, it's something crazy like a bail bonds, right? Well, the guy's got no choice. So you can call him back when you want, per se. But in general, they have a life cycle. So you want to hit it while the iron's hot and be as aggressive as possible. And honestly, the biggest thing that I like about you guys, which a lot of CRMs do offer, but it's very easy on yours, is the drip campaigns. You know what I mean? This way it's
Absolutely.
constant. And
It's a
then I
game
like
changer.
the disposition drip is really what I like. Where the basic drip, sending them out once a day, twice a day, that's great. But if I disposition no answer one, send this text or this email, no answer two, or they did answer and it's a callback. You know what I mean? Everything can kind
Exactly.
of change and we can walk them through the process. And that does help. I really think it makes a big difference. You know what I mean? Our
Absolutely.
contact rate's much higher, our engagement rate is much higher. The reps do better and I do better. You know what I mean? Ultimately, to me, that's what matters. I mean, if your reps are doing well, I'm doing well. So
Yes, that is more than true. What opportunities do you see in the sales world moving forward over the next 5 years?
sales opportunities. I mean, I really think it comes down to rejection files. It really is working with your own data.
It
Honestly,
just
it's
ties
like
into everything we've been
it's no
talking about.
different than if I came to you, right? You're with iSales. I'm with Naked Media. I run a media company that does lead generation. In theory, right? All my clients are your clients. But for me, I wouldn't psychologically think, let me refer them to a CRM company or a dialer company. But literally, it's like maybe I might be a rejection file for you initially, but the reality of it is there's a way then for you to work with me or vice versa. And it really is, I think it's just mono because no matter what business you have, I mean, it can be a landscaping company. I mean, there's ways to work with the client pool that you have with others to bring it in. It's kind of like the basic, it's who you know, not what you know, but you kind of obviously need to know something to start to know people. So it's like a catch 22. But I mean, if you're good at what you do, your clients respect you, you've got a good database, work with what you have. You know, the days of beating down the door, it's tough. I don't, there's actually a comedian, I forget what his name is, but it's very true. Back in the 70s and 80s, somebody knocked on your door. It was a big fucking deal. It's like, wow, somebody's here. This is
Sebastian
great. Let me go see who
Maniscalco.
it is. Yes. And then now somebody knocks, you're like, holy fucking shit, who is it? You know, like, yeah, is it the cops? Is it the feds? Is it a bill? You know, like it's a very negative thing. And unfortunately, sales is like that. So people like to work with a network of people they trust. And, maybe it's my client, but if I'm telling my client, this is the guy in the industry to trust, it's a whole different situation. You know what I mean? So I
Absolutely.
really genuinely think that, in terms of sales, it's having for the future, obviously having everything set up in a remote location, understanding your reportings, simplicity. The more seamless integration you have across the board where a dashboard can display everything from an agent perspective and then obviously from an admin perspective, it really is a breeze to be able to keep moving forward because now you have direction. You know what I mean? You know which agents are closing, which agents are not closing. Like one thing I'd love to do is add an alarm on the thing, right? If an agent doesn't meet, so let's say 100 leads come in, right? They got to have a certain closing percentage. If they don't, I get an alarm. You know what I mean? But like
Hmm.
there's cool things that having ease integration where the agent can be happy or the salesperson can be happy and not that I'm against it, but I'm still a little old school, but can actually function 110% from the house. You know what I mean? I still believe sales is a camaraderie thing. The more people you have in one room, The more bulls, the better, you know. But that being said, you got to give everybody the tools they need. And I think that in terms of for future for sales, that's pretty much it, man. Yeah.
Got it. Got it. And since a lot of sales reps aren't able to work in like a bullpen setting right now because of everything that happened, what do you think are some ways that they can stay on top of their game? Like that they can always have that growth. They can always go for better. How do you think that they can stay motivated?
I mean, I think just like what we have now, you know, like basically a video setup. Let's say you were to integrate with your sales guy a video. People like to talk shit. When you play basketball, what do? They talk shit. When you play sport, like anything that people want, like sales, unfortunately, is the kind of thing like you have to want to continuously do well, right? You want to better yourself. You're a flower that wants to blossom. But like if you don't have that opportunity, it is kind of hard. Again, it comes down to excitement. You know, if you're data entry, I mean, there is no excitement, right? It's a different personality. But sales is an excitement. If I get a big sale, I want everybody to know in the office. And I want that guy to tell everyone in the office because now everybody else in the office wants to go get a bigger deal. It's just like it's a snowball effect. You know what I mean? So maybe almost like a virtual engagement. I mean, how it would be done, I don't know, but it would be great. But it is tough from home. I mean, there's no way around it. It's you can do morning meetings all you want. You can do phone calls. You can do Zooms. There's still only so much level of excitement. You know, when you go out each day and you put on your shoes, you clean your jeans, you iron your shirt, you go to the office, you sit at your desk, like it's you're getting prepared for it. Where when you're at home, you get up, you're in your pajamas, like literally your whole psychological process of prepping to work and make money
It's
is
gone.
gone. It's gone. It doesn't exist. That's why there was a very funny thing I saw on Instagram or TikTok or what have you back in March when New York and everybody else shut down. They're like maintain normal schedule, and the guy's there, and it's like he's in his bath, his shower, and he's got the shower curtain in his headset, and it looked just like he was hanging on to one of the subway rails.
That's
I was like, "That's
hilarious.
it. Don't break routine. That's cool. That's cool."
I love it, Steve. Thank you so much. Let's say somebody in Miami wanted to come work for you or they wanted to get in touch with you. How would they be able to reach you?
Just check us out. You can go to www.naked.media, no.com, and give us a call or send us an email on the form, and we'll get in touch with you guys.
Awesome. Awesome. This was great, Steve. Thank you so much for all of your time. I really appreciate it. This was so informative. Thank you so much for tuning in, guys. We'll see you next week. Thank you.